welcome to the Fishhead Creations podcast, where I pull out one of my interesting knitting projects every time and talk you through the details. My name is Anna. You can find me online as Caledoniana on Instagram and Twitter, and as Obsty on Ravelry. I'd love to hear from you. This week we're actually talking about a project that I've knit start to finish yesterday evening in about 6 hours. So you will have seen it's a baby cardigan, and it's been a very, very quick one, but what I really like about knitting baby garments is that you can just experiment with construction methods, just things you've never done before on a very small scale project. My first ever satin sleeve project, for example, was a baby cardigan for a friend, and this one as well is just part of a big pile of baby knits I'm gifting to a couple of friends who are having their first baby soon. And yesterday I just felt like I wanted to knit something from my leftovers from my last sweater, and I figured it could either be a hat or another baby knit, and because both of these friends had their birthdays recently and I really don't have any other gifts for them except for the baby garments, I thought I might as well add to that pile. So this is what we are talking about. It's knit from Sandnes Peer Gynt, which is a 100% Norwegian wool yarn, and just a light grey into dark navy. I don't know the colorway numbers, but it's easy to look up. I knit this loosely based on the Harvest cardigan by Tin Can Knits, but I changed pretty much everything except for the idea of garter edgings and the stitch count for the raglans. So yeah, let's get talking. The Harvest, if you've seen that pattern, also has a garter collar going around, but the stitches go in the same direction as the ones in the stockinette. So it's knit into the pattern as you go, and it's obviously the same color because otherwise you'd have to do intarsia, and it's quite complicated to do that for a beginner's pattern, what Harvest is meant to be. At first I tried to knit the Harvest, which has you start with just a garter band from which you pick up stitches for the neckline and then knit down, but I misread the instructions several times and then just decided to wing it and do my own thing. So what I ended up doing is casting on the number of stitches called for in the Harvest after you pick up those stitches, which is from the front of the sleeve, across the neck, and the other sleeve. And then I followed the raglan increase directions from that pattern, which for the first time meant a bit of creative fiddling around and knitted on, cast on stitches, because you're not only increasing for the raglans and at the front and back of the sleeves, but also for the V-neck in the front. So you're increasing down here, and I didn't really consider that when I decided on my stitch count. And yeah, the first row was a bit fiddly, but then it just a plain, simple, regular raglan increase until you get to the sleeve and body divide. After that, I put the stitches on waist yarn, as you would do for the Harvest, and then continued further down the body, which meant increasing a few more stitches to get the V-neck to meet in the middle. The Harvest pattern also has this garter band around the bottom, but it's meant to be a little wider and start higher up, but I was playing serious yarn chicken all the time with my blue yarn, so I decided to start further down, and for this part of the garter band I went down to 4mm needles while I knitted the rest on 5mm needles, which is what the Harvest pattern called for, and I just figured if I got a bigger gauge, because I think it called for 18 stitches per 10 centimeters, for which I usually use about 4.5mm, or at least that's what I tend to guess and what has worked for several jumpers. But I figured if it turned out a little bigger, it would just mean the baby can wear it sometime longer, because it's to be intended to be open fronted anyway. So if it doesn't close anymore, the baby can still wear it if it's wider in the back. Then yeah, I did a Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. Is it Jenny or Judy? I think it's Jenny. The stretchy bind off around the bottom. And then I went ahead and picked up stitches all along the front. I picked up 1 stitch for every garter ridge, then 2 stitches for every 3 rows in this part. Then I picked up all my cast-on stitches around the neck, and again 2 stitches for every 3 rows down here, and 1 stitch per garter ridge down here. And then I just knit back and forth in garter, changing my colors, to get this nice white shawl collar. Now that it's blocked, it actually meets in the middle, which it didn't do before blocking, but that's just garter, it stretches. And I didn't add any buttons, and I didn't add any buttonholes, but if the parents decide it would be more useful to be able to close it, they can just add 1 simple button here, and because it's quite loose garter stitch, they should be able to just peek a small button through one of the stitches and fasten it that way. Then I did the stretchy bind off again, and because I changed my colors, this bottom edge didn't really look right, because it was not blue as every other edge around the whole cardigan is. So I went ahead, and when I was weaving in my ends, I pulled out a crochet hook and just did a few stitches across this bottom line to get a blue edge instead of the striped one. So yeah, that's the body finished. And then I just picked up my stitches from the waist yarn again. And the harvest pattern is actually written for full length sleeves where you decrease down, but I didn't really feel like it, and every other cardigan I've knit for this baby has long sleeves. So I figured 1 short sleeved one for just inside wear, autumn and spring weather where it's not too hot, too cold and you don't need full wool coverage would be quite nice. So I just knit to slightly across the point where the pattern of the harvest cardigan has you decrease for the first time for the sleeve, and then went down to a 4mm needle again and did just 2 garter ridges and a stretchy bind off. It's quite stretchy. I don't think any baby's arms are that big, but what do I know? I don't know anything about babies. I don't like babies. I just like knitting for them. Well, yeah, we have nice little short sleeves, and I only did 2 garter ridges instead of the 8 I did down here because, yeah, chicken. I have a tiny bit left over. I could maybe have done another ridge on each sleeve, but I didn't really want to try it, and I still have my granny stripe blanket where I will put all the leftovers. And yes, all in all, I'm pretty happy with this. This looser gauge really suits the yarn more, in my opinion. In my Mary sweater, it's knit at a very tight gauge for its thickness, and I think at this loose gauge it makes a nicer fabric. It's quite drapey for a 100% non-superwash wool, and I think, yeah. It also has quite a bit of this sailor vibe with a white shawl collar and the stripes, which is quite nice when you're living on the coast in a sailor city. So yes, I hope they will like it. The baby's dad's favorite color is blue of any type, so I think he will quite like it, and the mother as well will be happy about it. I'm really quite proud of this, because it was just such a quick knit and so much improvisation and so much just trying out new techniques and types of fit, because it's an open fronted cardigan which I've never done before, and yeah, it was fun. So we're getting close to noon, it's heating up again. We had a wonderful cooler day yesterday with only 23 degrees Celsius. Today it's supposed to go up to 28 again, and I have my windows closed to shut out the neighbors being ridiculous again. And it's heating up, and I want to reopen the windows again. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you next week. Bye! guest does like cat hair in his bed, because this is what's happening right now. He has been warned. Oh, you're coming out again. Kom maar, Rasmus. Katje. Oops. Yep.